Fleming is the man who leads the brigade. Let's do it now. This is Rasslin Rage. We'll do it now. This is Rasslin Rage. This is Rasslin Rage. Cody Fleming is the man who leads the brigade.
And now it's time for Rasslin Rage with your host, Cody Fleming.
20s this week. I didn't even think about it.
Hey, hello. Welcome to the Rasslin Rage YouTube channel. It is I, Cody Fleming. I am joined by Alex Van Zandt and Davison Sarai. They make up the judging panel for Indie Idol 2023. We are currently in the fifth round where we did a little bit of a throwback to the days of the territory days, the old get out of town match. The loser leaves town. All right, so that was a stipulation. Still had a minute and 30 seconds to do the promo in, and they all came in on time except for one. There was one that came in a little bit over, about 3 minutes. I'll talk about that a little bit later. However, fifth round, that means that tonight we are seeing we're seeing how many people? 14 people, 12 people leave. So 12 people will leave the competition tonight and 4 will remain for the semifinal and then eventually to the final and then obviously to crowning the 2023 Indie Idol. Alex Van Zandt is our very first ever Indie Idol from 2021. Our second ever would be Davison Sarai here, 2022. And then who knows who's going to be 2023?
Oh, I know.
Oh, you know?
Yeah. Oh, I already know.
Okay. All right. Well,
Alex, I never asked you this question on the air. Did you sweep the first season, or did I?
Yeah. It was single elimination.
Okay,
Yep.
so we both swept the entire seasons then.
Yeah.
That is correct. Yeah.
The
That
only
means
thing,
unless one person wins this year, we're the only two people to ever sweep the entire competition.
that's right.
Someone can. I think there is one undefeated person right now.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's
well,
it.
still.
Yep, that's one.
Yep.
All right. Well, we're going to get into it, but we're not going to go quite in the order everybody might want us to, right? But I'm going to start this one out for you, and we're going to go. I don't have a lot of notes on this one, but I do have a winner on this one. And so we got Summer versus Alex. All right.
Ooh.
So Summer, we're at Summer versus Alex.
This is my favorite matchup, I think.
I liked it a lot.
Well, I got to say, Alex is very genuine when he does his promos. I connect very well with him, not because I feel like I am him, but I get this. Okay, so I have kids, right? So I get this almost kid feeling from him where I connect to him on that kid level, right? Nothing against him, like saying he's bad, right? But I think that's part of his character.
Very endearing.
Yes, he's very believable. And his delivery is spot on, I think. I mean, is there work to be done? Obviously, always. We're always setting out to be better. But yeah, dude, this overall for me, this was a very decent promo, and I was interested in your promo. Summer, you took the what critiques or corrections that were given to you, and you used them on this one. I see a lot more eye contact with this one, not looking away nearly as much, and doing the actor Summer, right? And when I say actor, we know what we're talking about. She does a lot of things. She's very active. Both great promos. However, when it came down to the scoring, this was separated by only 0.5 for me, and it went to Alex.
This was down to 0.5 for me as well. This was very, very, very close. I am going to start with Summer. This was the best I've seen you. I loved how you opened it, because this time you didn't I'm Summer, like you let it be, like, and what I mean by opening, I mean like you haven't always done that, but like you usually start way up here and then you have to bring it back down. You stayed there the whole, like, you didn't stay there the whole time. You did bring it up and down, but like it felt natural. It didn't feel cartoonish. Mm-hmm. It didn't feel like he was saying, the actor Summer Rawson, this felt like the real life character Summer Rawson. And when I say that, it's like, I'm not telling you that you can't be over the top. You should be over the top, right? And you will be. But first, again, it's a matter of like, and we talked about this, going back to go forward. And last week you went back. This week you went back to go forward, and we saw it. This is the direction. This is how it should be. I absolutely loved it. Great setting as always. This felt very, very natural. As far as things that you could do better, I don't think you're there anymore. If you can keep this up, I don't think you're at the point where I have to be like, this is wrong, this is wrong. Now you're into the category of suggestions where like now it's like, okay, if you can keep this kind of level up, it's kind of a matter of, well, what do you think you should do? You know what I mean? What do you want to do? And you can kind of work from there. It's not really like a right or a wrong. With Alex, this was the strongest I've seen you too, in my opinion. I really, really liked this. The emotion felt very, very real. I loved it. The line of like, this is my livelihood, right? It felt very, very genuine. Man, I like both of you two, I think are the two most improved over the year. And like, again, I think Alex, you're in that category too now, if you can keep this up, right? And we've seen glimpses of this before and kind of fallen back. And then, you know, this was a less is more for you. As far as it was not a crazy background. It was just you talking from the heart. And that's what I think at the end of the day, Cannonball really is. He speaks from the heart, and he is funny and he is goofy, but like it all comes from that same emotional place deep down, and you're very endearing. And I think that endearing factor needs to stay with you across the board, because this is money, man. Like, you're a white meat baby face, and those don't exist. You know what I mean? There's so few white meat baby faces that everyone like that can get sympathy. Like, as a heel, it's hard to like extract sympathy from somebody sometimes, because like sometimes they'll just be like, yeah, kill him. And it's like, no. Like, I do feel like if even a likable heel was beating on like Alex, you'd be like, hey, stop beating on our Cannonball. That's mean. Like, that's our Cannonball. So you stop that, sir. Like, I really like that. And it's different and it's rare in this era. But I felt from a visual standpoint, I give the edge to Summer. From an emotional standpoint, I gave the edge a little bit to Alex. It's really, really close here. I felt the context was a little bit more with Alex. I felt that like as far as everything feeling more smooth, felt like it landed with Summer. And it came down to 0.5 for me. And on this one, both of you got very high scores. So I'll tell you the scores specifically. Alex, you got a 35 from me. And Summer, you got a 35.5. So the winner for me was Summer Rawson by 0.5. Davison, you got to break it.
You're the tiebreaker.
I like what you said, Alex. You actually set the plate for me for this whole round. I've kind of come in with like a little bit of a theme in my own mind based on what the contests have looked like. Synthesis is kind of my theme for this round. Who can take all their skills, like you just said with Rawson? We've now seen what you got. You got this big treasure trove of skills. What are you going to choose to do with them? How are you going to synthesize your stuff, right? And I see a lot of people in every single one of these competitions in this particular round who have either done it well or continue to kind of need to work on that. I think that this was the best I've ever seen Alex from my personal perspective. I think that, yes, likable, endearing, wholesome, all the stuff you're saying. We work around different areas. It's one thing to say there's not one in Detroit or there's not one in Michigan. I don't know there's another one in the whole fucking Midwest, personally, that I can think of. It's money. And he made himself more human to me, not just character, but like I saw a guy who's a believable person who happens to be the Cannonball in this round. I thought the emotions were real sincere. He was just as likable. I like too that he plays up to his strengths. Like, it wouldn't make sense for the Cannonball character to come in swearing and threatening violence per se. He's going to lean into like feeling bad about potentially ruining somebody's career. That's who he is, and it makes perfect sense. Summer has an immeasurable amount of skills. I just don't think that she's put them all together in a seamless fashion week to week. You said this was your favorite of hers. I would say this was maybe like my second or third favorite. It was hands down my favorite Alex. And at the end of the day, which of these two do I find more relatable? Which do I find more front to back, believable, sincere? Cannonball for me. In this round, it was the Cannonball.
All right. So Cannonball moves on, or gets the
Yep.
It was that, like I said, that's a close one. So we're going to move on to Eddie and Avery Hughes. So Eddie Dillon, Avery Hughes. I'm going to let AVZ take the steering wheel on this one to start it out.
Okay, very, very fun. This was the best I've seen Avery look, and this was short, and it was sweet, and it was everything that it needed to be for me. Obviously, yes, there's going to be some vocal charisma that you're going to need to work on. That's just what it is, right? That's going to come with time. You're going to figure it out more. The whisper yelling is not nearly as bad as it was before. It's a little bit there still, but it's not there as much. You finally listened and you took the advice. You went to another setting. You put the effort in there. You showed us who your character was before you opened it. And I didn't see you there. I love that for your character. That's exactly like it's over the top and goofy, and it's what you need to be doing. Do you know what I mean? The only thing I would say on it is maybe even more. Do you know what I'm saying? Like more is more almost always until more is too much, which is very rare. I think I only gave that critique at any point to Summer at some point. But more, like, give me bigger, crazier. Bigger, right? Like think about the way that Shawn Michaels sells things, right? In the ring. He's one of the best to ever do it. And when he gets punched, he goes flopping like a fish. When he's firing up, man, oh man, like he is one, like he knows the exact line, right? Where like, you know, when it's like too much, AKA versus Hulk Hogan, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
How dare you?
But at the same point, like he does that minus like 0.5 in every match. Like when he's about to go for, you know, like babyface Shawn Michaels, before he's about to go for that super kick, it's, you know, he does it before he even starts the giant stomping. It's whoa. You know what I mean? Where it's like, but he believes it. And if he didn't believe it, it would be not quite all the way there, right? And so you can go for even bigger air here, even on the lines that you already have. So with, I didn't see you there. Like maybe it's like even more like, have you seen like the 2010 kind of comedies with like Ben Stiller? Like I think White Goodman, where he's like, oh, didn't see you there. Do you know what I mean? I think if you watch White Goodman, you're going to find a lot of character inspiration for this character in particular. Do you know what I mean? It's just, he's like, he thinks he is right. He's strong. Like your bicep look decent there. You know what I'm saying? Like not too bad, but it's like not so much that you think like you're maybe you think you're a little bit better than you are, eh, buddy? You know what I mean? With the White Goodman, it's so over the top. It's so ridiculous, but it's so funny and so like you can't take your eyes off of him in that film. You know what I mean? And like it's all there for you, man. Like this was the best I've seen you. And I think if you just commit even like you committed the most so far here, and just keep committing more and more and more and bigger and over the top and crazy, like it's going to get better and it's going to feel awkward, right? It's going to like people don't act like that, but you can because you're larger than life, right? No one's coming to the wrestling shows to see Steve in accounting. They're here to see Avery Hughes. Like, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. If you ever watch like someone I just wrestled him, but I've known him for a while, Arthur MacArthur. He's the strongest man in all the land. And it's over the top and ridiculous with everything that he does. It's just so ridiculous. Man, like and he's not always the biggest guy in the ring. He's usually not, but at the same time but it doesn't matter because he's the strongest man in all the land. So he's just stronger, and he does do incredible feats of strength. But at the same time, it's like, what? Like he just knows how to go to that extra level of like ridiculous. Like go to the ridiculous. Like that's what people are here to see, larger than life. So yeah, keep it up. This was the best I've seen you. Eddie Dillon, lots of stuff for you too. I was actually hoping that you would do a monologue here, like you did, but you did it as a voiceover, which is your strength. And you did the video editing, which is your strength. But you played this last round very, very safe, and you leaned on your strengths, which is good. Like, I understand that, right? I'm not going to take anything away from you for wanting to do that, but this was another opportunity that I kind of wanted to critique that, like, visual monologue, because there's only so far you're going to get with the voiceovers before eventually, you can't really do that live. And that's where you're going to need to be, right? This is kind of like, you're kind of in the critiques section of this where, like, I don't know from a score point if you're really fighting for a playoff spot necessarily, but it's more a shot to like get those critiques on. Yeah. Get the critiques on the stuff that maybe you're not as comfortable with here. And I felt like you were very, very safe here. But it wasn't bad. It was good. It was okay. And so, I have a really weird, thing. I'm going to divert here. With some of the clips you were showing, I do have this is not for or against anything to do with this critique or the competition or whatnot. You did show a clip where you were working with Ace Evans. This is a wrestling thing, so I am going to give you a critique on this really quick. I'm sure that Ace Evans told you this as well. In the clip, you reverse, boom, you hit the ropes, and you kind of like, when it came to the duck, you ran to him, you stopped, you ducked, and then you continued the run. Just trust that he's going to be there, man. Like in the ring, just trust that your opponent's going to be there. You have to. There's nothing else you can do. So when you're hitting the ropes, never leave that momentum. You duck or you don't. He throws or he doesn't. It doesn't matter. Like at that point, you're running. You can't stop to duck and then continue. Like you're hitting the ropes, you're building up that momentum, and you're building up for that giant Rana. Keep it coming, man. So yeah, that was just a little critique there. I mean, especially you're in the ring with Ace Evans, right? Who do you trust but Ace Evans? If you can't trust Ace Evans, you can't trust me. You know what I mean? So I like that. What's up?
I don't trust either one of you.
I mean, hey, there's reason to feel that way, Davison. There's definitely reason to feel that way. I mean, I would never do anything cheaty or against the rules. But that being said, I did feel it was very safe, but it was good. Visually stunning. Both, like, this was really close for me, and this is going to be probably a huge upset, but I did give this one to Avery.
All right.
I'll go second.
Go ahead. Hit it.
I basically agree with everything that Alex just said. I want to touch on something that I want to keep coming back to, because now we're basically at the end of a lot of people's seasons. Every single person listening to this, whether you're in this competition or not, you need to develop your editing eye. You need to not only know like what kind of looks good like for your performance, but you need to develop an honesty about your performance, I think. Mm-hmm. If you're a person who feels good about your ring work and you've got some spots that are unquestionably killer looking, right? Use them, and use them a lot. Find ways to use those. If you got a spot that's pretty good, it could have used a little improvement, but it's the best one you got. I'm challenging people to have the humility and the editing eye to be able to say, that's one of the best ones I've hit, but it's not one of the best ones that these people have seen. I know the exact spot you're talking about from Eddie's video. I can't do a Rana, so I'm not going to knock him on it. But I also don't know that I would have included it personally because of what you said about it. You know what I mean?
And again, it wasn't an attack or anything like that. It's like, it was just an opportunity I felt to be like, okay, I am an in-ring guy. I base for those a lot. So here's just something like, like I would be like, it would actually kind of throw off my timing personally if you stopped as I was trying to throw. Like, I'm gonna probably line you there. Do you know what I mean? You're probably just gonna, like, you lose. Like, there's no Rana now. You just got clotheslined in the middle of the ring and we're back in the heat. You know what I mean? I'm sorry. You did.
And I agree with all of that, but I guess what I'm saying is all I have is access to the video footage. And if I can tell the video footage is far from perfect, should we be using it? And that same note is going to go for a lot of people in this whole round.
That's a fair assessment.
You know, if you're still not seeing that you're taking these pauses, if you're still not noticing that your spoken stuff isn't really synthesizing, if you're not noticing that you're breaking constant eye contact, I'm not judging anybody except to say that is going to continually cost you, not just here, but in any creative endeavor.
Yeah.
Period. Yeah. If you can't be honest about what you're making and you're going to choose to highlight things that don't measure up to everybody else's stuff, you got to find a way to either work around it or focus on something else. Now, I fell into a thing last season where my first couple were like straight 90-second monologues. And then by the third or the fourth week, I started doing more vignette and wrapping in some like visuals and stuff like that. But I had done that once I established that I could unquestionably go 90 seconds and go 90 seconds. I still have question over Eddie's ability to cut a full 90 front to back, super compelling promo. And so I don't have a problem with vignettes, but in week 5, it did feel a little bit, I'm not going to say mailed in because I think his editing is like his producing things are great, but I do feel like for week 5, it could have been more, right? Or should have been. I agree with you about Avery. Could there have been a lot more? Yeah. Is it 100 miles from where he started? Yeah. Could he have done what he did there in a live setting? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm with you. It might be an upset, but I got Avery as well. Congratulations, Avery.
Wow.
I made your job easy, Cody. You don't have to
yeah. Well, I'm null and void anyways, but hey, I still got some shit to say.
Good.
So I'll start with Avery. Listen, short, sweet, and simple. I mean, you didn't have to do anything. We've talked about it before. You know, just because you have a minute 30 doesn't mean you have to use the minute 30. If you get your point across in less time, then cool beans. You just gave somebody an extra minute in their match. Cool. However, I do say not. However, I go with Alex on this one. There is a ton of potential in this character. There's a ton of potential for you in the promo game and in indie wrestling in itself. I think personally, in my personal opinion, you're a fucking heat magnet if you do this right. If you fucking do this right, and I've had a little bit of talk on a personal level with you. This whole thing with the muscles and the kind of the Arthur MacArthur, but Arthur MacArthur's not really but he's not really a heel. But I really think that if you do this right, you could fucking be
huge character.
Yeah, you could be Tommaso Ciampa. Like, remember when that dude come out? You remember that guy? Is that how you say his name? I don't remember.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, when he came out and you just felt his face melting off from the heat that he was receiving. So anyways, but yes, I like it. It was much better. You're heading in the right direction. I hope that you come back next year and you continue to pick people's brains like AVZ and Davison and other people. Because you got, I know where you train. You got guys like Jason Hotch. You got guys like Sam Beal over there, Trey Miguel, that you can pick their brains as well. So,
CK, everyone.
Work with those guys. Eddie used voiceover. It was good. As we said, it was good. And a lot of the images that were like, because there was a promo that you did, it was either in the first or second week, I can't remember off the top of my head, but there was a lot of imagery in the promo with no voiceover, but it really made no sense of what the imagery was, right? Like, it didn't really correlate with the promo. This imagery, on the other hand, did correlate with the promo, so it worked a lot better. So that was great. Let's see here. I don't know if a lot of people know this, but I am a licensed ham operator. I am an amateur radio operator. I can talk across the world. And I am partially deaf. I have a hard time hearing. I can't hear in one ear. And so when I struggle to hear things, it's something I notice. There are pieces in this where he's doing his voiceover where either he's over modulating or he's too close into the mic and it starts breaking up and you can hear it. And it was very distracting to me because I'm trying to listen to what he's saying and all I can hear is, you know what I mean? So there was that. So if I were to give a critique on that, I don't know what mic you were using, or I would probably switch that up. Just personal thing if you're going to keep doing something like that. And I go back to what AVZ said, the monologue. I don't mind the voiceover, but at the end there was that part, where I got it written down here. You say there's like the mercy. You're not gonna show any mercy. I would have liked to have seen, because there's this part where it cuts out and it's your back, and that's the end of and you say that with the voiceover. Why not make that you saying that there? I think that would have been they would have hit a lot better, personally, for me. And when this one came down to 1 point for me, but I gave this one to Eddie. But It doesn't matter because y'all motherfuckers gave it to Avery. So,
whoa. You have no proof that we've been sleeping with anyone's mother, okay? You have no proof.
I got a lot of proof. I've slept with a couple of them.
Hey, well, for me, it's who's been tattling. Who's been tattling?
Okay. All right. So, Avery wins that one.
Before we go to the next one, Avery, this is a direct note based on what Alex has been saying about just going more over the top. Mm-hmm. I, like Alex and I as a team, we should start a small business where we double team on. Now I'm talking about mothers and double teaming. And
hey, double teaming mothers.
Two coaches helping people with promos from two different ends of the field. I think it would be hilarious. Like, so you're saying for Avery to go over the top more. I think a way to go over the top is to sometimes do less in an interesting way. Imagine how funny it would be the next time he cut a promo where he starts in the first 5 seconds saying, "Hey, sorry, I was just working on my biceps," and he flexes. And then he cuts a minute-long promo with this thing hanging out next to his head the whole fucking time. Never even mentions it again. Maybe just busts some dust off it at one point. Blows in his finger, makes it bigger. Just like, it doesn't have to be big and clowny, but just take that thing and find an obnoxious way to just keep doing it.
I like that. That's a great idea.
Just little stuff like that.
We're going to get into this one for me. This is another 0.5er. This is a 0.5er separation here. And it's Annie O'Neill versus Trevor Stroud. Another great set of promos, man. Everybody here, like I said, this has been one hell of a group to work with so far. Dude, the leaps and bounds that have been made here is great. Annie, I'm going to start with you. I personally messaged Annie after I seen this promo because I was just like, this is it. This is you're right there. You're right there. Now just take this and make it better. Right? Wow. I was so taken back with this when I she grabbed me hook, line, and gone. She had me from that moment. It did that. We were talking about before where I felt like it was a little bit forced. Didn't feel that this time. Not at all. It did not feel like it was a forced emotion. And not only did it not feel like a forced emotion, you had a raw connection that was almost creepy to me. Not, I mean that in not a bad way though, because it was like, I don't know what you did, but you drew me right the fuck in, and I was in there. And there was a point in the promo where you kind of come into the camera, right? And I felt myself so hung on your words that I too pulled myself closer to the camera so that I could get I felt like I needed to get closer to I don't know why, but you did it. And I think if that's what you intended on doing, you did it. But yeah, so she had me hook, line, and sinker. Good stuff there. Trevor, this is overall, it's a good promo, man. I liked it. I liked the book at the end, the flame closing. I think maybe we should have seen the book a little bit more to know that you had it or something, because it was just kind of like boom, and then it was done.
It was quick.
Yeah, it was quick. But again, this was by 0.5, and the reason why this was by 0.5 is because the emotion that Annie gave me, I gave her a 0.5 higher score for that emotion, because she drew me right in. Like I was sold. I was on it. Like if I probably, just give me a ticket price and I would have sent you the money right then. You know what I mean? So Annie for me by 0.5.
Okay, I want to go next. So, sorry to jump you there, Davison. I do want to go second on this, and you'll understand why in a second. Man, this was the strongest I have seen Annie, and Annie. You're starting to understand your character. You're getting it. The character's coming together now. And I know that because you're starting to use the book in a way that works, right? Right. It like works within the context of what you're going to do. And I knew this was going to be a struggle for anyone who isn't, actively an in-ring competitor. It kind of comes down to like, it's like show and tell, right? You can, there's a level of like, okay, you can show me this, but it's like when I buy the ticket and I watch the match, it's like, can you do this live? You know what I mean? Can you bring this character to life in a setting that isn't just video? And you found a way to do that now. It's not all Cthulhu and stuff like that. It's more culty, and it's knowledge, and I love the library, and you're moving around like weird because it's like, okay, that feels right? It feels horror movie, but not in a sense that it's like you're not Undertakering with like the lightning and all the other stuff and I'm not talking about good Undertaker later, like the Undertaker early, where it was just like, okay, well, what do we do with you now? You know what I mean? You're not like the Fiend, where everyone was just like, okay, well, now what do we do? Like he's the devil now. Like, how do you kill the devil? Do you know what I mean? Where this is what I wanted to see. This was a lot better. It feels very real. And it's you're bringing, it's the knowledge, it's the books, it's the physical, it's all of that stuff coming together. And I can feel the confidence building in your voice as a direct result of that, because this is now closer and closer and closer to actual Annie O'Neill. It doesn't have to be Annie, actual Annie O'Neill who, wakes up and eats breakfast or whatever. It's the side of Annie O'Neill that like you just want to let out, you know what I mean? And that it's the side of you that's just like, it's the part of you that is supernatural, but not supernatural in a way that it's supernatural. It's the superhero version of you that you can convey. Now, the one thing that I was a little bit like careful with on this one was the knife. And here's why. You can show a knife, you can do the knife, and you might be able to work it in, right? Jamie Eternal did it for years. I'm sorry about that ping. I have my phone connected to them using my Mac. I'm sorry. So it's kind of like Chekhov's gun. You can show what you show has to come into play in some kind of way, right? And that's why sometimes I'm trepidatious. I have like a certain weapon. I have the paddle, right? And I bring it to the ring during my hardcore matches, but only for those, because if I bring it to the ring in another way, it's like, okay, well, you have like, how is it going to come into play? And it's like a paddle with spikes on it. If I'm not using it, or I'm not going to take it, or I'm not going to at least take a swing, you know what I mean? It's like, what are we doing here? Why did you bring it at all? Because I don't want to, there's only, if there was infinite amount of time, like, yeah, we can explain it away or whatever. But every single thing that you do, every piece that you have, everything needs to make sense, and you don't want it to ever distract from it. So unless you have a way to work that into your match, and you might, right? Maybe you do almost get him with it, but then you don't, right? But at some point you are going to have, like, if you do use it, at some point you're going to have to use it. Do you know what I mean? Or you're going to have to take it. Do you know what I mean? And that might be okay if you want to do death matches and whatnot. I feel like this was more appropriate for the death match type situation. Because in that case, someone can get it and then work it to where boom, and now you're bleeding, right? You can do something like that, or you can do it to them. But at the end of the day, do be careful with what you show, because what you show, you have to tell. Understand what I'm saying? Chekhov's gun. So, Trevor, overall, this was a good promo. It was really, really good. It was really strong. I agree that I would have liked to see the book maybe for a half second more, but I didn't want to see it early. I like that you brought it out at the end. Maybe if I don't know your video editing skills, but if they were elite, it would have been cool to almost as you close it, boom, now the book is opening up and you see the fire coming out and it's your face laughing is the last image, right? And that would have put it over the top for me. There was one little thing verbally, and this isn't something that was bad. It was just at this point, again, I think Trevor, you are one of those people now where it's you're good to go, right? You do this live, you do this promo, you're good. It's not about the wrong, it's about make it better. So with me, when you said thou shall not step in the ring with me, I think there was a moment there to go, thou shall not step in the ring with Trevor Stroud, because now, in that case, you're reading from the book. I feel like that's the moment to use the third person, because you don't speak in the third person, right? But if you're reading from your own book, you're now kind of putting yourself in the third person. Do you understand what I'm saying? I'm sure Davison can talk a lot about that kind of thing. And probably elaborate on that. But yeah, it wasn't wrong and it wasn't bad. It's just something that had you that little extra touch, I think would have been ooh, you know what I mean, for me. And it wouldn't have been a giant ooh, but it's just okay, I would have felt it a little bit more. But overall, this was a very, very strong promo. I thought this was, you could bring this level to anything. If you showed me this for a regular show, you put this in for a match, this might have been the best promo for the show. You know what I mean? Going into it. This is a competition where now the promos that are delivered at the top level here are probably not the kind of promos that are going to get submitted just on a weekly basis for a cold match, right? But that being said, if this was submitted for a cold match, I think this might have been the best promo, for that show. And this one was very, very, very close for me. And by 1 point, and both with very strong scores, actually, 34-35. I give this one to Trevor.
Oh, snap. Davison with a tiebreaker again.
I ain't scared.
That's why I wanted to go second. I'm sorry.
Fuck these people and their feelings. I don't care how they feel about this. I want to start by saying, Annie, I have never been more proud of a crazy looking bitch in my entire life. Now, I hear what Alex is saying. Alex, I could see there being a thing where she shows the knife, and then we go, oh, where's this knife going to come from? Right. She could get away with something in a match where she shows it, she runs at the person they duck, she stabs a turnbuckle, right. She gets schoolboyed 1, 2, 3, the person runs for the fucking hills. You could kind of do it without doing it, but I hear what you're saying exactly.
Yeah, eventually it does have to come into play, yeah.
You got to do something, yeah. Annie and I have been speaking a lot about how to get in touch with that real spooky, and not spooky like Halloween USA, but you said the word, culty, that deep, dark, black blood of the earth shit. You don't even know how to describe it. It scares everybody. That's where she's at finally. There's a casual, that's the word we kept using when we were chatting about it. You got to be casual. If you're still excited about this violence, then you're still not really comfortable with it. But if you can suddenly just be you're fucking dead. I'm going to take your intestines out. I'm going to tie them around your neck. I'm going to hang you from the lamp. I'm going to show it to your mom. I'm going to fuck your dad. I'm going to bury him in the front yard. I believe you. You know what I mean? You don't have to be histrionics to bring it down. And it's even bigger and spookier. That might be why. What's your problem, Cody?
I'm laughing at you. You're fucking hilarious, dude.
Too many dabs.
Who's kidding? Dabs. I'm not telling jokes. Am I clown to you? So I thought she was plugged all the way in, and she still had some of those gaps that we've talked about. Mm-hmm. And so when I talk about having an editing eye and looking at your own stuff, That library stuff was great. I like the like here she is, there she is, what the fuck's going on stuff. I like the knife. I like the calmness. Those gaps. If you don't know you're doing it still, if you don't notice you're doing it, that's a problem. Even with everything else being as good as it is. It's like, take a look at a Jamie Eternal promo at this point, as a matter of fact. They're still not perfect. Is there such thing as perfect? I don't know. But the closer you get to perfect, the more we got to focus on the little stuff. And Annie, this is as close to perfect as I've seen you. That's why I'm pointing this out. Now that you're that close, you got to get that timing down. Now, Trevor, I know what Alex meant, and I thought too with the book at the end, I thought it was a little bit quick. I wondered if it burned faster or hotter than he thought it was going to, so he had a quick like snuff it out. I'm not sure. I like the effect. There was a thing for me at 2 points, and I liked when he was getting on screen, he was kind of doing this like slimy thing again, which I love. He's comfortable. This is the first time I've heard him kind of do the natural born killer baby, like throwing the baby in there. Does he normally do that, or did he start doing that this week?
I don't know, but I liked it.
You did like it?
I did like it because it's like, again, what you said about making it feel like it's part of your, like what you do. Like
Yeah.
it's one thing to be like, tomorrow I'm going to commit a murder. Or it's like, I did kill your friend. Maybe for you that was the most important day of your life, but for me that was Tuesday. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I felt a lot of natural in that I didn't have to, like, he put it the natural and the natural born killer a little bit for me. I guess I should have said in mine.
I like that. Yeah, it felt, he was very comfortable, obviously. To me, it was almost more, remember the image I was making with the weaponry, like stepping up in size, butter knife to handgun to blowtorch, like you got to get bigger. To me, him saying the natural born killer is like his tagline. That's like a punctuation mark. And to me, it's like natural born killer, baby. I don't know what it was. Maybe it was just a me thing. So I don't want to hyper focus on that. But to me, that was like taking a little bit of the pepper off of his tagline for me. Could just be me. I could be wrong. At the end of the thing, which of these two could do what they did live? Trevor. Annie's still getting there. Trevor's there. I think if Trevor did that in a ring at any show in Michigan, he's either delivered the best or probably the second best promo on that show or in the state that night. Period. I'm a big believer. I think he's got it. So Annie, as much as I love you and you know I do, and I'm invested in you continuing to roll this thing out, you got a couple little things to work on, and Trevor has less right now. So good job. Trevor gets it.
All right.
Incredible improvement, Annie. Incredible improvement.
I've never been more proud in my life.
Absolutely. And, you know, again, a nice championship belt's cool, and being undefeated is kind of cool, but getting better at your craft and using it for the long haul is a big payoff.
I really.
Let's see here. So next we go to bada bing, bada boom. Well, this is going to be an easy one. Jason Blazin and Fletch. So Jason Blazin got the DQ, did not turn in a promo. I think we were moving. He was, you know, which sucks because I figured it out. Let's see here. I look at it here. He was actually, Jason Blazin was 2-2. You know what I mean? So that's not too bad. You know, if he'd have beat Fletch, he'd have been 3-2. But
he's been steadily improving too.
Right. So obviously got no critiques for Jason Blazin other than so you got all zeros. And you know, there's your critique. Turn in a promo. But anyways, moving on to Fletch. What I like with your promos is we've been seeing different spots. You're in a different place every fucking time. I like it. I kind of like it. It's different. And I like in the end there, he threw in the Mandalorian tagline. This is the way. So other than that, but I'll let you guys go.
I'll go this time. I'll go. Blazin, this was the worst promo I've ever seen you do. Don't ever do this again. Fletch, you know I've said it and I mean it. I've become a fan of yours. Not that I thought you were bad last season, but I don't remember much aside from the vape stuff. To me, you've really reinvented yourself, and I hope that this is indicative of what you're doing at live events, and I hope it just keeps going up for you. Alex, you said you've seen him wrestle. I've not. So I remember you saying you thought he was good. If he can do as well in the ring as he's doing with his promos, I think he's definitely got something going on. What I would say, the one thing that sticks out for me, because now I'm taking for granted, like I am expecting some real emotion, and I get it. I'm expecting that blurring of the lines of like, that's got to be touching on real stuff, which is priceless to me. I am expecting that. Now what I'm looking at, just like everybody else, is, are you seamless? Like you're good enough that you ought to be now poking for perfection, seamless timing. Make sure your volume and your like production stuff is on. I almost said on fleek. What the fuck year is it? Jesus.
That's okay. You're what, like 22? That's fine.
I'm also white, so I don't know if I'm into. It's problematic. There was a little spot early in that promo for me. It was the very beginning of it, and I wish I'd written it down, but it was in the first like 5 seconds, 10 seconds of it. There was this unnatural pause, and I went, editing eye. Catch these things. If you can't, you got to accept the fact that there's going to be a glass ceiling. Like, this is the perfect time to say this because I know we've got other people coming up and I've had some questions. I worked with a wrestler 2 weekends ago who has autism, and that's not a rare thing. Autism is what it is. A lot of people with autism have some difficulty with direct eye contact. It's just the nature of autism, right? It's what it is. I'm not going to blame an autistic person for being autistic. It is what it is. But also in pro wrestling, a promo usually means this. So that means if you're going to try to do it the same way as other people are doing it, even if you have autism and you don't, it's going to be a knock, right? So you got to find some way. If you got this certain way of doing things, you've got to find a way to do everything with that. And like newsflash to people, I'm a trans person. I don't know if that's news to anybody, but like, what would it be like if me at 6 feet tall was like trying to play myself off as like Alexa Bliss? It's not going to happen. You know what I mean? So I don't bother trying. I find a way to do my thing my way. I know who I appeal to and I lean directly into that. I know who I piss off and I lean directly into that. And it's not typical of what everybody else does, but it's what I've got and it's what I do with it. Right. I'm going to talk to somebody later in the rounds when we come to the person I'm thinking of specifically. But with you, Fletch, with that emotional stuff being as real as it is, keep leaning into that. But because it's so real, when there's unnatural timing, it really creates a weird push-pull for me. So if you can just get that part nailed down, I think you're basically unstoppable. But right now, you're so close to perfect that those little things are jumping out. You clearly beat Jason Blazin this week. Just find your strengths and don't just lean into your strengths, but figure out how your strengths play into like all your other parts too. And that's going to include working on your timing and the seamlessness of your lines, the editing around like bad actors. If you got a second person, like get rid of the imperfections because you're close to perfect.
All right.
Cool.
All right.
Cody, I have a question.
Yeah.
What is Fletch's what is his record going into this?
He was right now, like before this or after?
3-1, I think, isn't he?
No, Fletch is now 2-2, but he'll be 3-2 now.
Whoa. Oh, hey, well, I mean, technically, I guess we both voted for Fletch. So, I mean, no, I'm just kidding. So something I want to say about the whole field is that this is, Jason, you didn't submit one, but this is one of only 2 times this whole season where someone did not submit one. And that is, I guess, record. Like, that's awesome. That's awesome. Like, I love it in a world where, no one ever misses one, but 2 out of what, like 40 something ain't bad.
Right. Yeah.
40.
Right.
2 out of 40 ain't bad.
Right.
So there we go.
Right.
So, well, do you want me to
go
talk about Fletch real quick?
Yeah.
I thought the Davison hit almost everything that needed to be said. But this is what I have to say here. Obviously, this is much better. This is the Fletch that should be fighting for a playoff spot, and you are. But you're now, if you do make it, I don't know, but you're going to be close here. You're going to be on the bubble. That being said, if you do make it, this is where you're going to have to go from very, very good to very, very great. You're very, very intense. And that's really good. Now show me maybe your intensity, if you bring it down just a little bit at some certain points and just kind of talk with a kind of a normal diction, will give you even more punch when you bring it back and bring it back even higher. Or it can actually be stronger when you're down here. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because when you bring it down, maybe that's you yelling. And we're going to talk about that later with somebody else who I thought did that very well this week. But yeah, you're up here a lot. Vary it up a little bit, maybe. Again, you're at the point now where it comes down to like the maybes. It comes down to the suggestions. It's not a right or wrong, really. It's what can be made better, possibly, and play around with it. Again, editing eye, figure it out. Maybe what I'm saying doesn't work for you, and it might not. But keep trying it. Try different stuff, because at this point you're on to something. You're firing on all cylinders, brother. You're firing on all cylinders. So yeah, that's all.
That's it. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Team Fletch.
So let's see here. Next, we're moving on to Mason versus the Great Tiger. Dude, I'm going to start with the Tiger. I really enjoyed this Tiger promo. Not to say that I haven't enjoyed any of the other ones, but I think this one was one of the better ones in this competition, in my opinion. I really think the different tones that AVZ has recommended to him is really working for him in his promos now. I think that's part of it. It adds a little bit more emotion for me, anyways. It makes you feel the kind of almost like enunciating when you enunciate your words, kind of that. It helps with that. And the video game references in this thing were amazing. All the little things, I loved it. I loved the old Contra days, or not Contra, but like Mortal Kombat, kick, punch. It was cool. I liked it. I enjoyed it. It was funny, and it was cool. It was pretty cool. Mason. So this was kind of like this. How do I want to say that? I don't want to say this in a rude way. It was kind of like a step back from the promo you did previously, in my opinion. And I feel like in the beginning there, you almost kind of shit on him a little bit and then lifted him right back up. Right? And it was like, I was like, I hope he doesn't get offended. You know what I mean? And for me, I thought, I don't know about what you guys think, and we'll see. But it was a bit off for me. It was a little off. It wasn't a normal Mason Keller promo for me. It felt different. But by 0.5, Tiger wins.
Okay, I'll go for this one. I have a lot of notes. Okay. So, Tiger, this was the best one I've seen so far from me. I thought this was the most Tiger thus far. I know secretly that Tiger is a big fighting games fan, and he's a very good player as well. He does that sometimes, in his free time, and he does that competitively. And I thought this was the perfect time to bring it out, because you brought it out against the Geek God. So you understood who you were against, and you did it right. I like this is it. This is what we were looking for. I mean, honestly, I think you could even be bigger on the varying the Tiger. I feel like even at some points, again, like I said, Tiger, like all the go full anime. You know what I mean? With the emotes, full anime, because that's what Tiger is. He's a cartoon character. He's King from Tekken. He's that kind of thing. Well, he's not actually King from Tiger. That's not important. But that's something that or someone Mason would have mentioned. So we'll get to that. I thought that this was it. Maybe even a little bit more on the emotes. And something that might be cute is when you do speak in English, maybe you put Japanese subtitles underneath. Because in the few words you speak in English, it's like, here's a little bit of Japanese underneath. I did notice that at one point you did say you did Tiger with you said Tiger. but there was no subtitle there. That's just a little thing. I caught it. Whatever. That comes with the territory. You just got to keep working on like exactly when that's going to come, et cetera, et cetera. But I really like this one. Mason. This was a step forward and back for me. It was like, in some aspects, it was better than you've done. I felt from character development, from a character standpoint, you did the most here. I feel like this was your strongest display of character. But it was one of the weaker ones as far as delivery. So yes, again, the eye contact thing, it comes back into play. It's here. We told you to work on it, keep working on it. I'm sure Davison will have a lot on that. I know she's chomping at the bit to talk about it. The eye contact thing specifically. But so you said, Cody, that you did tear him down and build him back up. Yes, that's good, actually. So I did think you went in a direction that was a little bit personal, so do be careful with that.
That's what I meant. It was like,
right. But I do like the fact that you brought up Tiger Mask and the iterations of Tiger Mask. And I think that's right on brand with your character, right? I think this is a new level of that character that you need to show off, because and this was one of my big, like, early on in the competition with you, was that it's like, I know that you have this knowledge. Like, that's part of being a geek, right? Is like, all of the history, all of the people. So it's like, why aren't you like researching the people to know exactly? But you did this time, and that was a good job. You slipped up a little bit verbally, but that's going to happen. I know you're going to keep working on that, and it will get better down the stretch, and just keep working on that, keep working on
the first 3 Japanese names he said, like, I'm like, dude, I don't even know how he can even say that.
He stumbled on one of them. That's okay. One thing that you did say, because it's very nerdy, it's very educated. One thing I didn't like though was that you said Tiger Mask is often imitated but never duplicated. Technically speaking, and through your own explanation, he is often duplicated, right? I mean, there is multiple Tiger Masks over time, and in fact, I was kind of hoping that you'd go into like, there is like Dark Tiger and whatnot, and there've been various characters over the history who have been like the anti-Tiger, and Tiger Mask is a comic in Japan, and you brought all that in, and it was really good information. And I was just kind of hoping that, like, in a weird way, you would almost like with the direction you were going, I'm like, ooh, are you going to pull out the Tiger Negro mask, the one, the Negro, the Tiger, the black one, the Dark Tiger? Like, I was hoping for that, or there's more than that. There's more villains in the Tiger world. There's I can't remember them all off the top of my head, but like, I'm sure you could, Mason. There's a bunch of different Tiger villains. I was hoping that you like, and now you become that. It's like, or the Nega Great Tiger, the Bizarro World Great Tiger, almost like, I thought that was where you were going to go, but that was okay. It was okay that you didn't. There was a line in here that I really liked. I liked anime subtitles don't seem to exist in this world. I'm like, little thing, but it was a big thing, because the more little things that you throw in there like that, it's like, that's your character. I see it. I like the glasses. I like the screens in the background. I like that you showed off your gaming display. I think all of those things are exactly where you should be with this. So from a character standpoint, you really delivered that. Verbally, yeah, it was a little bit of a step back, but I like that you're really leaning into your character and you're finding him, and you're finding ways, not that you didn't know your character before, but it's like you're finding ways to communicate Mason Keller better. And that is really, really important, because once you start doing it in promos, you're going to start doing it more and more in your matches. And the more you can show your character in the match without it feeling like forced, the better it's going to be, right? Like, maybe I don't get the chance to cut a promo beforehand or whatever. Like, I'm going to show you that I'm an elitist little prick throughout that whole match. Like, just by the way I'm going to act, I'm going to get cowardly, and then I'm going to turn into an overbearing bully at different points. And I'm going to try to show you with my facials, with my move set. I'm going to show you with how yeah, I can run the ropes normal, but I run the ropes like AVZ runs the ropes when I'm running the ropes in a match. You know what I mean? I'm feeding into you the way AVZ feeds into you. So if you can figure out how to make Mason Keller, because I've watched your work, I've watched your matches, and I've been in the ring with you. And you can be very, very crisp and whatnot. But I feel like maybe even the Mason Keller character, he's smart. He's a geek. He studies. He knows everything you're going to try to do. So maybe even make it where like your opponent every single time, and I go, we're coming off track a little bit here, but I think this is an important critique. Once you like, maybe for your character, you're big on reversals and you almost like hit reversal buttons as you're doing things. You know what I mean? Okay, you know that their finisher is a this. Let them tease their finisher over and over and over and over, and you counter it and you counter it and you counter it and you counter it. And maybe you scream like L1 every single time that you do it. You know what I mean? Because it's like that's like what you say when you do something. I think when you scream something before you do something that's unique to your character, I think it adds to your character. You're telling them and you're showing them. And like the more character you can work into your matches, in addition to your promos, right? We've been talking about working into your promos thus far, but a promo is a match and a match is a promo. So if you can work that more and more and more into your matches, just like you've been working them into your promos, and I've seen it, right? We've all seen it come leaps and bounds from, just cutting the promo in a random shirt in like the living room to now we see all of the pieces coming together. Do that and then bring that into your matches because you are very fluid, especially in chain. And you know what? I think that like chain is like the nerdy man's wrestler. I love technical wrestling. I do. Right. So but it's like, that's something that is for the wrestling nerd. And that's something that you should be really strong at. And it's something that you are strong at. You're a strong technical wrestler, Mason. You are. So I think the more you can work with that, maybe you do some of the stuff I said, and maybe you don't even have to take my advice, honestly. But this is advice that was given to me. And it was given to me by some people who are much further along in wrestling than myself. I'll name drop. One of the people comes to mind is Effie. He would talk to me about showing off your character, as part of the match itself. Like, don't do a suplex the way everyone does a suplex. Do a suplex the way Mason Keller does a suplex, and the way Mason Keller does a suplex is the nerdiest way possible. Like the perfect torque. You know what I mean? Whatever it is, you know what I'm saying? Make it that way. So yeah, just something to think about. Food for thought. But yes, I did give this one to Tiger. 33-31.
Nice. Make my job easy. I don't know if there's anything left to really contribute to that. I think that if I hadn't been judging this whole time and I just saw this most recent Great Tiger promo, I would say that was pretty cool. I would say that was funny. I would say it's different. I might even say, and this is not a knock in any way, but I might say it's cute in a different kind of way. Ultimately, I guess I would ask the Great Tiger or his handlers, what does the Great Tiger want in terms of character perception among fans? Do you want to be seen as a funny character? Do you want to be seen as kind of a quirky, clever character? Do you want to be seen as a threatening character? Obviously, he knows how to fight. We see him doing it in all these promos, but with like the vibe of the promos, they're not necessarily threatening or menacing, Does he even want to be? I don't know. So I'm not going to judge him one way or the other for that. I don't know what he wants to do. So one note I would give him that I give to everybody is like, I don't know if you think of it this way, Alex. For me, I know exactly who my character is, right? I know exactly who my character is. And my character is this line right in the middle of the screen. This is me. And if I want to be funny and I want to go this far off to the side being funny, I know I want to then go this far to the side being scary and intense. If this character goes this far into fucking ruthlessness, then I should think about how to go this far into like heartstrings or sincerity, like counterbalances, like to broaden the range. I don't know if Great Tiger ever wants to get into a blood-curdling, scary, like fuck you adult feud like that. But if so, we've got some of the cute stuff. We would need this stuff. And I don't see as much of that. Maybe you don't even want it. So that's just a note for the future. If you wanted to do something, just keep figuring out how to stretch in both directions. Mason, yeah, I was kind of singling you out earlier with the eye contact thing. I want to be abundantly clear. There's nothing wrong. Like, I don't walk around making direct eye contact with people all day, every day. I don't think you should have to. It's weird.
That would be weird. That would be really, really weird.
It'd be super weird. But we also have come to expect it. Like, if you go see a rock band, you expect somebody to be playing a guitar or something. We kind of have certain expectations. So what do you do if you don't have that particular skill set? You find creative ways to do things. There might be some more creative ways to use the glasses thing, where like they stay on all the time and you only take them off at brief moments to do something direct and they go right back on. So we don't even notice. Now we're just seeing the character, I'm not a big geek. I'm an adult with a sex life. So I'm going to ask the question. When he does the Greek god, the geek god thing, that makes me think of Cyclops from X-Men. Am I even close to that? Like, I know he does the thing and like he shoots the laser out. I was thinking that with the glasses, there could be something similar there where like he plays that up somehow. I don't want to tell him how to do his character, but I'm just thinking like some other stuff. I've not seen him wrestle, so I'm taking your word for it. I've heard you say he's a good technical wrestler. I love technical wrestling. Find a way to, you said it, make that more part of the geek canon. I don't know if I had a lot more to contribute to that, except to say, oh yeah, I do. When you were dropping those Japanese names, I did notice the slip. And it's not a huge deal, except you were doing it intentionally. Like, for those of us who are giant wrestling nerds and we love our traditional Japanese wrestling, there's a certain level of like reverence that we use. Like, as dorky as it may be in wrestling, that's something we all take pretty seriously, like Japanese lore. So to choose to do that and then tank one of the names feels so like, oh, if you're going to do that, at least do that part just right. So it's just the editing thing. Like, if you catch yourself making a slip, did you notice? And if you noticed, then did we say that was good enough? Did you not notice? And if you didn't notice, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I do think this was a pretty good one from him. I don't think it was his best, but I thought it was good. It might have been my favorite from Tiger. So Tiger gets it for me in this round.
Yeah. All right.
Great question for Tiger, by the way. In that Davis, that was a very intelligent question from you.
So
which one?
The one about what do you want?
Right. We're gonna move on to Road Rash and Ethan James. So these two are the only two out of the whole competition that actually went back to the old days, to the way it kind of was done into territory days. Now, I would say that Road Rash more so did. I loved Road Rash's promo. I really did. I love what he did. I loved the whole thing in the beginning and the throwback feel, the black and white. And I know he does that a lot anyways, but still, this had a really old school territory feel to it. And I enjoyed it. I really did. I enjoyed it. Now, Ethan James, he used, I'm not sure if that was his wife or not, but he used somebody as an interviewer, right? And again, it kind of was a throwback to the territory days. I liked both promos. Ethan James branded the On Forklift podcast on the Rasslin Rage YouTube channel.
Like it.
Shouts out to you. Hey, he's lucky because, I wouldn't do that for just anybody. Anyway, so he branded. It was very funny. I enjoyed it. And then Road Rash, like I said, I love the throwback, the music, the old school music, like in between sessions. I enjoyed that too. This was by 0.4 in the separation of this one. And for me, it was Road Rash because he got me on the emotion and he got me on his character. I gave him a little bit higher score on both of those.
I'll go, if that's okay.
See?
Yeah, please.
I think that these two were an interesting pairing because I think they each represent what the other person could use more of, specifically these two. What a good team we are, double teaming these people. I tell you what. I have to work out some double team moves.
Yeah, right.
Talk after the show. If anybody in this whole tournament knows how to get truly unhinged and like can do that old like Moondog 70s to 80s era, like fuck you up with a bathtub outside your fucking head, Road Rash gets there. There's been a question throughout this whole tournament about, is he intentionally doing some of those glitch editings or those accidents? You two seemed bothered by some of it. I thought it was intentional, like almost B-movie 70s bad editing. I never was quite sure, so it didn't bother me. I think being able to get in that gear is really important. Even if it's imperfect, even if you don't say your lines 100% right, even if you're missing some context, if you can let yourself get uninhibited and just be wild, there aren't that many people who either can or are willing to. It's a weird thing. Like, we're all mammals, we're all animals. We're designed to do that sometimes. It's just interesting that some people don't, or they won't, or they can't, and then other people can just tap it. And for those who can, look at TV. Those are the people that make big money, are the ones who just shit to go to this level you don't normally see in real life. And Road Rash kind of lives there as a character, which I love. Could he work on his word selection? Yeah, I've said that. Could he tighten up on his like metaphors and things to make them more like sharper, clearer? Yeah. Ethan does that in spades, but he doesn't come with that unhinged, the heavy emotional component. He's slick. He's smart. He's got good stuff to say. I just wish there was more pow, like more. So in this round, with it being the loser leaves town, there's a lot of ways to approach it, but ultimately it still is about, I'm going to ruin your career. I'm going to take you out of your own home. Everything's going to change. There's real animosity in that. That's like some big fuck you energy. And between these two, Road Rash had a lot more fuck you energy in his than Ethan did in his. So while I'm a fan of both, and they're both very, very good, I've got Road Rash this time for sure.
I agree with everything you said there, Davison. Yeah, they're both very, very good. I liked this one because, again, they were the two that went back to the territory days, and they did a great job with it. What I felt the Jimmy Hart almost like that sleazy, but like almost like a little Jerry Law. Like felt Memphis. It felt Memphis with Ethan. Felt Memphis.
Yep.
And I like that. You are a very slick character. I thought you gave a lot of emotion, because this is the kind of character that doesn't really have that, like, I'm going to murder you energy so much as like, a Road Rash would, but it's more like, well, we'll see. We'll see what happens when my friends show up. Like Josh Morris has that kind of energy too, where it's like he himself isn't necessarily going to beat you to death, but he and his friends and Crispy Rico and everyone else involved, we'll see what happens. You know what I mean? I'm gonna kill you, but I like that. You did slip up a little bit here. There were 2 half-a-second verbal slips that most people wouldn't catch, but I caught them. One of them was when you said the word bye, and when you said to be, they were like half-a-second little slip skis there, which, for your character, it's hard. Like, even something so little like that is loud. You understand what I'm saying? Because you're so slick and you're so good, and you're trading between tones and timbre, and you're changing your tempo constantly, and you manage to change the feel of this promo 2 or 3 times without losing focus, which is a really important skill that I wish a lot of more people would learn. Because you went from kind of fucking it off to like getting serious, then being a little goofy, then being serious again, and then fucking it off again at the end, which was good. I really, really like that. I liked the finish. I liked how you did that. The call me was a nice line. I liked all that. I did like the plug. It was really, really strong. It felt a little bit like a manager promo from the Memphis era, but that's not bad. That's good. Road Rash, you are so intense. And man, I like this a lot. I like everything about this was a Road Rash promo. You did a little bit slip too, but it's more forgivable with your character. You're so enraged that it makes sense. You're not always going to like, you know what I'm saying? It's fine. I liked it. It was really, really strong. I do like the camera cuts here because you use them effectively. Sometimes when you do the camera cuts, it isn't as effective. And that's kind of what I had talked about before, where, sometimes it feels like you're using them to cover things up. In this case, it didn't at all. It felt like you were using them for dramatic effect, which is the strongest kind of Road Rash promo. The beginning I did feel went like maybe a second or two long, the intro before we got into the meat and potatoes, but that's okay. I understand what you were trying to do, but again, maybe like a second or two off of that, and then right into the would have been nice. No. So I mentioned you without saying your name earlier in these critiques because you dropped the intensity at the very, very end. Like you dropped the screaming and the rage, you dropped the rage down, and by dropping the rage down, you finished your promo there. I mean, you scream the nomads, of course, but like you dropped it back down. And so when you were down here, it was like, oh, now he's getting scary. Do you know what I mean? Like, you were scary before, but it's like when you bring it back down, it's like that was your version of yelling. Do you know what I mean? His rage is more like that's the subdued rage that's going to tell you that I'm going to fucking kill you now. You know what I mean? So I liked that you brought it down at the end because it was like, oh, here we go. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense to you guys?
Yeah, it's like you need to when you stay big and loud, it's like you might kill somebody by accident, like a grizzly bear just swinging around. But if you get down here, you're gonna fucking just stab them because you're like here and you're focused, and it's like more intentional.
And that's I think I was talking to Fletch when I was talking about that, where it's like if you bring it down even for a second, it's like that's even more scary. Do you know what I mean? For just a second, that's even more serious.
Yep.
And I think he did a really good job of that. Both of these were really good. I liked them both, but for me, it was Road Rash this week.
All right. So now we get into the meats and the potatoes here. No offense to anybody else we've talked about, but everybody else, they're fighting for the wild card. These guys, these are the guys. Jamie Eternal versus Coco T-Ware. Alex Van Zandt, I'm going to let you go first on this one because I have to go to the bathroom.
And you're not going to let us watch? How rude.
Oh,
all right. Save it, though. Save some. We can use it later.
Counting.
All right. Let's start with Jamie. I really liked that polka dot line. That popped me quite a bit. Same critique that I gave to Road Rash here. I thought I really liked how you started this with the summoning. I thought you went a little long there. I thought you probably could have shaved maybe 3 or 4 seconds off of that to get again to the meat and potatoes of what you were going to do. I really liked what happened when you brought the mask on and then you took it off. It was a little hard to see at the end, but I think that's part of it. Maybe at the very, very end, I would have liked to see like a little bit of flash of light just to see even more face there at the very, very end. But this was very, very strong. This is what you do, man. Like, this is what you do. For me, this was tied for the strongest promo of the week. I really, really liked this one. Coco. This was a Coco promo. This was good. This was like what you do, right? You said, guess what, too many times early on. You said, guess what, too many times. And you said it within a 10-second time frame. So be careful with that, especially with you, because you are so verbose and you are so slick and you are so fluid that, again, with somebody who maybe wasn't as much and they're more screaming and yelling intensity, that would be not as noticeable. But it is noticeable coming from you because that's what you do. Those little those little moments become louder because of how good you actually are. You understand what I'm saying?
Can I make a point there just to drive in what you're saying?
Of course.
Imagine if Nick Gage was in a match and just out of nowhere, he grabs somebody in like a top wrist lock, right? It wouldn't really matter if it looked that great because it's a fucking shock that Nick Gage just did a wrist lock. You know what I mean? He can just do it and it's something. But if Zack Sabre Jr. has a match and he puts somebody in a side headlock and he stumbles his footwork even that much, that sticks out of everything in the whole match because he's so goddamn good at technical wrestling. So if you're that good at something, you got to be really good or every little thing pops off in the worst way. So that's all.
Yeah, I agree 100%. That was a great analogy. This was, I like the kayfabe clutch. You're bringing in how you're going to win, which is really important because you're not an in-ring competitor, right? This is very, very creative. I like what you did there. I like the use of vocab as always. But again, Jamie Permanent was cute, but for the little things, they stuck out big here. And the things that I gave Jamie that were like the little things, those I felt were more minor and just like artistic choices. These were actual like little bumbles I thought could have been improved. So for that reason, I did go with Jamie Eternal here.
All right.
To go.
Who wants to go next? Me or you?
I guess I do.
Right.
Way to ask, tell.
I guess it's me. Yeah, I don't have a lot to add to that. I would say to Jamie Eternal, same thing. I mean, you have fine-tuned just about every detail of this character to a fine point. And because there's such a narrow margin of error now, any little thing's going to jump off. And in this one, nothing did jump off. Like you got your attention where it got to be. My challenge will always and forever continue to be to even the absolute apex of anything. Just keep trying to find some new way, even if it's just to challenge yourself, even if it's just a new way to put a little bit of spice on something new for somebody who's seen you work for 5 years or whatever. You know what I mean? Like little stuff. Mm-hmm. And for him, he just reinvented basically his whole character. Like he's doing it.
Yep.
Again, nobody has to be a believable Texas Chainsaw Massacre style, believable mass murderer character. I just happen to love them. For somebody in his character, I could see there being a moment or like being necessary at some point to go all the way off the fucking page into like, whoa, that was like the shit of nightmares. That could have probably put him in jail if it wasn't in wrestling. I hope I get to see that moment someday. I've never seen it to this point. If that's a personal challenge for the rest of our friendship, then I guess that's what it is. But it's certainly not going to cost you here because you're this close to fucking perfect. I'm not going to score you for being this close from being fucking perfect. Coco, you are now starting to feel some of the growing pains of starting fast and having a lot to offer right away. And then as time goes on, we see it and then we see it and then we see it. And we're starting to kind of like come in with our judgment. Like, okay, we're tightening. This was, I love all your promos. I mean, obviously I think you're really, really entertaining, but now we're this far into it and we're looking at who's getting perfect. I like the off the cuff stuff. I like that. I don't think you write these out. I like that it probably takes you 1 or 2 takes. I like that you did it in a public parking lot with people probably driving by. I like all of that.
Love
that. But
part.
even with that, like Alex said, that's not going to excuse repetition. It's not going to excuse a fumble or like a misused term. You know what I mean? You're so good. Now you've got to take that. Those are your raw materials. And now let's actually start to fine tune. Doesn't mean you got to write everything out, but maybe you got your list of zingers and you work on making sure that in between these zingers, I have like this segment where I talk about this stuff so that you don't have to repeat when you get to this part. Like right now, I think you're just so off the cuff, make it up as I go along that there's no way of kind of keeping track of like sections to kind of eliminate parts from, if that makes sense. That's how I think. in a 90-second thing, am I going to go 45 seconds and 45? Am I going to go 30, 30, 30? Like, I like to have that marker for this is this whole idea done. Here's this whole next idea done. Here's this final idea. And I can cut down on the accidental, like crisscrossing of like repetition, stuff like that. So highly entertaining. Absolutely. Are you great at this? Unquestionably. Were you closer to perfect than Jamie? Absolutely not. So, Jamie Turtle.
Fair. Okay, so I'll go ahead and take my turn. This was another one where I enjoyed Jamie Eternal's promo. Like I said last week, I just wasn't feeling it. I don't know what it was. Maybe it was a little bit overproduced for me. I'm not sure. However, this one, totally different feel for me. I was very what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. I was enthralled. I definitely
Stoned?
I was that too. I'm always stoned. But anyways, he definitely took the critiques from the last round. You can tell that he's actually, because there was a minute there where I was questioning if he was even watching, because he'd be like, all right, so what's the stipulation now? What are you even watching, dude? I think this was the perfect mix, in my opinion, of the effects and promo. It was right there. Will there be a different time? Will there be a time down the road where there might be a little bit more than the other? Maybe. I don't know. It just depends. For this promo in this round, it was the perfect mix.
Balanced.
Yeah, it was very balanced. Thank you. It was very balanced. Coco. As you know, I'm not going to beat up on you not going to say you guys beat up on, but I'm not going to keep saying the things that they've already said. But some of the things that I noticed in the beginning was that shaky camera, and that bugged me a little bit. And I understand you got somebody holding the camera, I get it, but you got to find a way, right? Got to find a way. You're going against somebody like Jamie Eternal. If you're going to go against somebody like Jamie Eternal, a shaky camera is going to get you marked down. I'm not trying to be a dick. I'm just being honest. All right, especially in the 5th round of this competition. Okay, the promo overall, great promo. I loved that you added your own stipulation in there. You used the Coney dogs. You had the takeout order or whatever. You were actually in the parking lot of the Coney Island doing the promo. All great things. You're very talented. And you should be, I don't know if you're, American Idol, Americans Got Talent. I don't know what it is, but somewhere you are a star and you need to figure out how to make yourself even bigger of a star. I'm not saying because you're not a trained professional wrestler, so we're not going to see you, cutting promos on WWE anytime. Can we see you making commercials and doing audio and stuff? Absolutely. Voiceover type stuff, absolutely. But you can find it. I promise you that. But Jamie Eternal.
Yep. I had a thought afterwards. I think it might help Coco a little bit. So, by the way, as an aside to what you just said, Cody, I agree 100%. How about ring announcing, man?
Right, yeah.
Very entertaining ring announcer. On commentary maybe too, especially his color. I'll
be taking my job.
Right. Well, that's its own thing too. So I could go on and on and on about commentary too, because you will have to tone that down a little bit to not be so much. But so Coco, when you do these public promos, and I do a lot of public promos, I like to do them. It's a little bit different, right? And I like to go off the cuff too. I cut the promo sitting in this chair. I'll do maybe 3 or 4 of them and take the best one I feel, right? But some of them will be I'm getting the feel or whatever. And if I don't like a redundancy of something I've said, I'll boom, that's it. We'll go again. Or if I don't like, I don't like the enunciation I put on that word, boom, we'll go again. Do you know what I mean? And, but when you're in that public setting, you can do more than one take, but you only get so many, right? I understand that pressure. So, in that case, I don't script them, but I have my bullet points a little bit more fleshed out. I've cut it in my head a bunch of times going into it, and I probably, maybe I done it once or twice in the car before I get to the spot, because it's like I know we got one take, maybe two, if I'm very lucky, three, right? So it's like in that situation, I do kind of change my approach a little bit, and I will be a little bit more scripted, I guess, just to avoid that kind of stuff possibly happening. So maybe if you do them in the future, do think about that kind of thing. And that goes for everybody, but yeah, dude, like you have it. So
All right.
I was going to add something as well. Cody, you said Coco had a shaky camera, and you said, yo, if you're going to have a shaky camera against Jamie Eternal, it's going to cost you. It doesn't have to. It might have been a different situation what if you cut almost the exact same promo, but you started further away from the restaurant, and we start the promo with the camera person like pursuing you. So now it's not just you and like an invisible camera and camera person, but clearly you're being followed as you're walking through the parking lot, yelling over your shoulder, I'm going to pick up my goddamn Coney Island. And the person, like shaking because they're following you. You can make it more intentional on that, like Blair Witch style, where like, if we can't guarantee solid, we don't want accidental this, so make this intentional. There's a lot of ways to do it.
That makes sense.
I mean, punk rock has been a thing forever. ECW was ECW for a reason. It wasn't production value. It was leaning into the lack of production value. So there's always a way to find it.
Absolutely. And to the main event, the undefeated Josh Morris, the saucy man, the man with the sauce. I don't even know all the things that he's got going on, but he's got a lot of them. We did get to see a Crispy Rico in the flesh. That was awesome. But he took on Spider. So listen, Spider, good promo. In the beginning, it was a little hard to hear you with that music. Again, I go back to I'm hard of hearing, so I'm on. I actually had headphones on trying to listen to your promo, so that I could, and I'm doing this, pushing it into my ear because I can only hear in one, and I'm like, and I had a hard time, and I had to go back a couple times to know what you were saying, and in order to get the full context of a promo, you have to be able to hear it, right? You have to be able to hear all parts of it, because then I'm just piecing it together and I'm assuming then, right? And maybe I didn't get the picture that you're trying to paint. So that's something that you want to look at from an editing standpoint in the future when you're doing your promos. I'm not saying don't add music, just think about doing it maybe a little bit differently. Maybe, I'm trying to fade it in or something like that, or, maybe make it a little bit lower. But, I understand that you're working with, you're probably editing on your phone. That's not something I do because I am absolutely horrible at that. But I don't know how you may be able to correct that situation, but that's something you want to look at. So you start the promo out and you're on your car. And then you come into the camera, and there's this big gap from the top of your head to the top of the actual frame of the picture. It bugged the shit out of me. But there's a point where you edit it, and it comes like it does this quick zoom in. That was the perfect frame shot to me right there. And it bugged the shit out of me. It really did. I would have liked to seen that closer in this kind of frame right here, like we are here, a little bit more. You know what I mean? Maybe you start out on the car or whatever, and you come in and you come in, and then you're there. You know what I mean? But those are my only critiques on that, and I'm not trying to be a negative Nancy, but I'm picking this shit apart now because it's the 5th round. Josh, I had a really hard time finding things wrong. He's hitting his mark, in my opinion. And again, though their opinions may be different than mine, but Josh takes this one.
All right.
Okay.
You want to go, Davison?
Yeah. I want to ask you what you were referring to. So you said the Spider's use of the framing was bothering you. Were you saying, was it that he was like, was it like that?
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
too much over his head
Yes.
instead of that?
Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, it might sound like we're being ultra specific, but again, as you've seen now over the season, people have gotten better and better and better. The ones who are winning do almost everything just right. Don't ever forget that, yeah, we're thinking about the words and we're thinking about what we want to say and how we want to say it. But ultimately, when people consume it, they're consuming a screen full of visual. And you want to make use of that as much as possible, even if it's not like perfect background, but you want it to be framed.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason people take photography classes and videography classes, like framing matters. We expect that. So I did notice it. It didn't bother me as much as it did you, but I did notice it for sure. My note to Spider is that I've been witness to him being on a journey of learning how to like master his emotional content, master his emotions. That very first one was just level 10, right? And I talked about Road Rash being able to plug into that really quickly. Spider's up there too. When Spider wants to be off the hook intense, he's there and he does not have to try very hard. His struggle was shrinking it down and getting to that part. And I feel like I've been able to really watch from week to week based on the notes we've given. Oh, you want smaller? I'll go smaller. And then we go, maybe not that small. Oh, okay, well, then I'll get a little bigger. Maybe a little this. Okay, he's clearly listening and doing it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
In this particular round, I wanted to focus on the part where he brought up his children. There's a specific part where that came up. I don't have a single problem with any content that we decide to come up. I mean, if something comes up that's totally corny, let's not do it. And that's not remotely corny. That's as real as it gets. And you showed us real emotions. Next level shit for you. And I think I'm glad you showed us that. Next level is now. Think about the next match you have. And let's say it was against Alex, for example. Well, I've now seen you touch that raw emotion of how bad it hurts for you to not be able to do something that you love more than anything in the world, which is see your kids. And we felt it and we saw it because it's fucking real, right? Take that exact emotion and all you got to do is try to it's like forming a new synaptic connection. Here's the actual emotion of your kids. Here's the angle with Alex. What am I going to be mad about? Oh, he wants me to leave town. He wants me to not have my career. That's similar to somebody not letting me see my kids. I can make the same facial. I can use the same pain voice. I can be just as desperate because you have the emotion. We've now seen it. But now you got to take that and reroute it into something more contextual. And now that we've seen you do all that stuff, I fully expect to see you with this big, fully developed wheel of emotional stuff going forward. You've touched all of it. You've gone funny, you've gone low, you've gone high, you've gone intense, you've gone small. You got it. You and Summer, now just take all of that and synthesize, and you'll be fucking unstoppable. As it stands right now, Josh may be fucking unstoppable. Alex, you said early in the season, Josh does not like to lose. I saw that in his face when I saw him down at Pro Wrestling King. He seemed legitimately pissed at me that I might even consider giving him a bad score. He's clearly trying to prove a fucking point, and I think he's doing it. When he wants to be intense, he is. When he wants to be funny, he is. When he wants to go a mile a minute and nail it, he does. Like, he's either going to have to have a bad day, or somebody's going to have a fucking great day. Or we might be looking at Indie Idol 2023 in Josh Morris, because he killed it. He fucking killed it. And Spider, love you to death, but that was a tall order. Amen. And I don't know if anybody this round would have beaten what Josh gave us. So definitely Josh for the win.
Interesting for me because no one would have beat Josh. He tied for the highest score here, but I think if I had to go back and decide, I think Josh would have won. That being said, let's start with Spider. I'm going to beat you up a little bit here. I'm going to have to. I don't have a choice. You were in the main event here, right? So if you're on a show and you're in the middle of the card, that's one thing. But when you're in the main event, there's a level that you have to go to because you know who you were facing here. It was Josh Morris. And I made an allusion to it earlier when you said, I don't know if anyone's sweeping this round. I go, I'm pretty sure Josh Morris might sweep this whole competition, brother. You know, I mean, this seems like a guy right now firing on all cylinders, and he is. So that being said, Spider, you needed to bring your A game here, and I don't think you did. I don't think it was bad. I just don't think it was great. You needed to go for big air. You needed to go for big air here, and you didn't. I agree 100% with everything that Cody said. Those were both of my notes about the music and about the framing. Now, you went blue. I liked that. You changed the color of your bandana, and I know that that's something that you do. And this time you went blue, and then you went sad, and I'm like, good. I liked that. That was a cute touch for me. Now, I have a problem with the sad because sad is tricky. Sad is hard. And you went from very intense to very sad very quickly. And even if that's how you really felt, I'm just here sitting in my chair. I don't feel sad. I don't feel happy. I feel like I want to eat a couple of these potato chips, and you were the thing that clicked up, right? So you need to bring me there. And you went really fast into the sad. And it's like, if you were really going into that, you would have to, if you were really that intense, I can't even see my kids. I can't even see my kids anymore. You know what I mean? You gave a second for that to breathe, and you went there naturally. It felt unnatural, the jump. Do you understand what I'm saying? Even if that was real in that moment, and you can still bring that sadness there. It's that moment of if you were choked up there, show me that you're choked up, and it was like I need a sec, but like there's no one else there, so that's fine. There was no one else there. Just stop. You can't even get through the sentence the first time. You know what I'm saying? And like as you're getting through the sentence the second time, it's just, it's hard to speak when you start getting that kind of sad. Like when you bring in that kind of level, like you don't really want to show your face, and you have to. You understand what I'm saying here? So when you go there, and then you kind of brought it back up very quickly, and it's like, whoa. This is a very, very intense emotion. You don't just get out of that quick. You know what I mean? You don't get out of it there. In other words, like, just like if you're a certain level of angry, you can't just break out of that level of angry really, really quick, even when you want to. You need it. I need a sec. Just give me a sec. And then you can come back not as angry, but that's a very high level of emotion that you want to portray here. And so that needs to live to the end of the promo, even if you have to, like at the end, you were angry, but you lost the sad. You need to be, the sad needs to be there even with the anger towards the end. You understand what I'm saying? It's the rage mixed with the hurt that needs to come through towards the end that I didn't get. You went right back into, cutting your promo. And that did make it feel not real for me. Even if it was real, it felt not real for me in that moment. You know what it felt like? It felt like you were going to make a joke about it, to be totally honest with you. It felt like you were going to make a joke. It felt like you were going to be like, I can't even see my kids anymore. Screw them kids. Do you know what I mean? That's what I thought was about to come out of you. Because you just transitioned it so quickly. And because it didn't linger and it didn't stay. It stayed a little, but not enough. Not for that kind of emotion. Like you can't see your kids anymore. And that level that you brought it to facially and like how you said it, it's like, oh no, that's a different kind of feeling. And that's the kind of feeling that we want to feel, but you didn't let us feel it. You know what I mean? It felt slapstick to me. And again, whether it's real or it's not, it didn't feel real in the moment because of that. And those are just the things that you're going to have to work on as you get into these big high level moments. You understand what I'm saying? Like it wasn't a bad promo, but I'm going to be honest with you, you got blown out here. You got blown out. And that's because Josh Morris, this is like everything Everything is there now. It's the knowledge of his opponent's characters, the knowledge of you make your opponent three-dimensional, and you make yourself feel like we live in the Saucyverse.
Yeah.
Right? Crispy Rico talked, like all of these characters. It's like, oh, Crispy Rico's my friend now.
This fucking dude could have his own show.
Yes, he absolutely could. Like all the stuff is there, and the Easter eggs, they're just sitting there for you, right? Yep. You look in the background on the board, it was talking about Spider. Yep. You look on the thing, you see the little nutcracker that looks like Josh Morris. It's like all of the things. Like it's now he's not even just hitting like a good promo. He's not just bringing in the effects. He's not just talking about his opponent. He's not just bringing in all this other stuff. But now he's hiding Easter eggs. There's Easter eggs in his promos. That like that's next level, dude. Like that's not even for everybody. Everybody was already hooked, and now he throws the extra stuff for the people who've been paying attention for a long time. And that's what it's all about, man. And you did it in 1 minute and 30 seconds. Are you kidding me? Like in a really strong Tokyo Dome main event, they use Easter eggs within their matches, and they tell it over the course of 40 freaking minutes. You did it in 1 minute and 30. It's crazy. It's crazy, this level, right? This was as close to a perfect score as I could probably, honestly, I want to give you more points than I did, to be honest, in hindsight, because, maybe I was being a little Ebenezer Scrooge going into it, because this was the first one that I watched, because I want to watch the main event first, because I'm a greedy little piggy like that. But that being said, like, holy shit, dude. Holy shit. When I watched this is how I felt about you, Davison, last season, where it was like, who is going to stop this guy? Who is going to stop this guy? Like, and I don't have critiques. You can make it better, probably, because you're Josh Morris, and I have the faith that you can, but I don't even know what it is. You know what I mean? Like, are there suggestions I could give you? I mean, maybe if we shoot the shit, but let me tell you, I was also, out of town this weekend, and I was talking to people and different promoters, and the name that kept on coming up was Josh freaking Morris, and how you've gone from a very good, entertaining mid-card act to a bona fide main event talent. And it shows in the ring too. The improvements there in the ring too. There's been a jump, and it hasn't been little. There's been a leveling up of Josh Morris, who was already very, very good. There has been a leveling up here. And I know that you don't wrestle in the Detroit area that often, so it's kind of hard for us to see it sometimes, but I'm seeing it, man. And the promoters outside of the state, they're seeing it too. And I know that there are promoters from Michigan watching right now, and there's vets from Michigan watching right now. Watch current Josh Morris stuff. Watch the stuff that he has right now. Watch his main events. Watch his new entrance style. Watch everything that he does, because this is somebody who we should be taking a lot more seriously, and that we should be bringing in. That's all I have to say. And it's funny that I say bringing in, because he's actually from Michigan. He only lives an hour, maybe an hour and a half from the Detroit area. I mean, but I feel like he's still getting booked here in that like mid-card role where it's like, okay, go out there, have like an entertaining 6 to 8 with somebody that we're trying to get over. It's like, no. Go see what he's doing now. Go see what Josh is doing now, because it is not the same. It is not the same, brother. I think that's as good of an endorsement as I can give you.
I
personally.
think so too.
Yeah.
I want to piggyback on that, since we're doing the circle jerk for Josh Morris right now.
How can you not?
Dude, the first time I ever laid eyes on him, I never knew he existed until I did a commentary spot over in Detroit a couple years ago. He came out, and I was just like, I don't know who the fuck this person is, but like the song was going, the hype man was there, like the comedy never stopped, the action never stopped, the shit talking never stopped. I remember that was a couple of years ago. I'd never seen him live until like, I think it was 2 weeks ago down in Indiana. And you said it. I mean, Level Up barely touches it. It was like immeasurable change. And you just said the thing, and I don't want to harp on this, but I do want us to touch on it. We've mentioned it before. I didn't realize he lived in Michigan. I assumed he was from Indiana because of how much I've seen him down on those shows. You won the first season. You work just as much outside of Michigan as you do here. I won the second season. I'd barely really been working, but I had already been working out of the state at that point because I started as soon as I was done with my home school, like my home fed, get out of the state. There's a tried and true formula. There's a reason people do that shit. You're going to be in front of new fans. You're going to work new styles. You're going to be around different workers you don't know. You're going to be in front of new promoters, different vets who wouldn't come through your hometown with different advice. Like, it's not just getting miles to be able to brag and say you've got miles, but anybody who's leaving hometown and going out is doing a couple of things at once. A, you're proving that people want to hire you. That's sending a subliminal message to people. It's a big deal. Go do that. You're picking up more skill as you do it. You become more well-rounded. You're not just getting blowjobs from your friends and the local fans in your hometown. Like, there's a massive fucking difference between going 300 miles away where you're not known and still doing it, and then doing it in front of 80 of your friends. You don't have to try as hard over here. Challenge yourself, dude. Like, Josh is doing it. Clearly, he's fucking doing it. We're looking at it. There's a reason he's doing it as well as he is. It's not coincidental. So, like, anybody who's already doing well, you got a couple years in, like, if you haven't left your town, if you haven't gone more than 20 miles, if you haven't left the state, why not? What are you doing? Like, there's just so much more to be had. And not everybody has the same career goals, and that's fine. But if you are honestly, truly trying to, like, grow your character, grow your skill set, grow your career, get in the fucking car and go and do more stuff. That's all.
I agree 100%. Look, I think we can all agree that Josh Morrison has won this round. But before, Cody, you go on to tell, the final four are, I do. And before I say the congratulations for doing this at all, I want to say this, and it piggybacks exactly off of what you just said, Davison. The Detroit area of Michigan is a bubble, and it's kind of like territories, right? Depending on where you go is a different style. Everyone likes different stuff. Different places like different things, but good is good, right? And in Michigan, in the ring, we are very, very good, man. The work rate that comes out of Michigan is tier 1. It is unbelievable. The mid-carders in Michigan can do shit that none of my friends, I made a joke. And this was actually a joke I did a long time ago on an old promo, where someone was just like, why won't you wrestle? And I was like in the middle of a promo, and I stopped and I looked at him and I broke the fourth wall and I looked back and I go, we're wrestling right now. See what I'm saying? And that's a huge part of it, because that's also wrestling, right? But people like different things. And Michigan has a style. It's fast paced. It's spots. It's this and this. That's one of the reasons I love Nate Matson, man. I like to watch his stuff because his stuff is a throwback. It's different. It's like no one wrestles like that anymore. It's all in the ring, and it allows you to create these organic moments that you don't feel it, right? Like, or no, you don't feel it. You do feel it, right? You feel it, but the match itself isn't going to be as wing, bang, duck this, hit that, flip that, catch this, slam here, kick out, falsy. It's going to be a little bit different, so you're not going to get as much of that. But here's the thing. People outside of here, that's the only way they wrestle. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's like, call things. What do you mean call things? Like, we have the finish. What are you talking about? Like, just get out there and we'll figure it out, dude. Like, I'm like, oh, my bad. All right. Well, I like to do this and this and this and this. And they're just like, because so if you're in Michigan, if you've ever wrestled with me, you know that, like, if I call Russian leg sweep, what I mean is, whip, reverse whip, duck under, Russian leg sweep, tilt a roll pin, back up, cutoff, right? That's what I mean. And I'll tell you that, and I'll roll around with you and show you. But, like, they'll be like, so you want to do a Russian leg sweep? I'm like, yeah, like, just fucking grab me for a Russian leg sweep. What the fuck are you talking about? And I'm just like, yeah, I know, but you're not going to go the right way necessarily on the pin that I want you to, or you're not going to, they're just like, yeah, I know, it's a fight. Like, you're not, I might not. And I'm just like, oh, well, I mean, he's like, yeah, do you want it to look like a dance idiot? I'm like, no, my bad. But it's like, I'm learning, right? Because again, I'm learning right here with you guys. I'm not a vet. I'm learning right here with everyone. And so that's an important lesson too, where it's like, things aren't going to go right. Things aren't going to always be super smooth. So work with it. Right. But I think that's some really important in what Davison was saying. I'm off topic again, but like, I agree 100% with what Davison was saying with like, there are different styles and you need to learn them. And I do think that one of the things that Michigan is lacking right now is characters. We are weak with characters because Michigan likes that high-paced, heavily influenced style. And that people who are at the absolute top, and you can see them, and I'm going to name them right now. You see them and you're like, oh, they feel different. And why? Because they've managed to create these organic characters who they can cut promos. They show you who they are in the ring. They show you who they are in their entrance. They show you who they are, how they move. These guys are Jason Hotch, Dread King Logan, Tommy Vendetta, Adam Wick. I can keep on going, but these guys, how did they get to be there? Well, how did that happen? Well, weird. It was because they have all of this other stuff with them that they throw on there that makes them who they are. Look at Trey Miguel. He can do everything in the world. So much respect. And people are like, oh, he's not a promo guy. No. When he does a thing, he does this. He'll show you his face. He shows you who Trey Miguel is with every single move that he makes. And like, again, I'm working on that myself. Like, I don't think I'm all the way there. I'm trying to work on, the work rate side of it, where it's like, okay, I have all this character stuff. How can I make that? How can I go against a Jason Hotch? How can I go against an Adam Wick, a Tommy Vendetta, and still show everything about who I am? Tommy Vendetta in a regular match that isn't a death match will show you his death match elements. He will show you that he is the psychopath. He's not afraid. Do you know what I mean? But at the same time, so there's all that character coming in. It's like a match is a promo. A promo is a match. It is the same thing. I am stealing this 100% from Jimmy Jacobs. Those are his words. Okay. And that being said, like, take what you've learned here, everyone who's been in this, all right? Take what you have here and translate that to the ring. Translate that to your work. Translate that to the entrance. Translate that to your segments. Translate that to how you interact with fans at intermission. Because every single little bit that you learned here is applicable there. That's why I tried so hard consistently. Again, I'm not a work rate guy, but I'm getting better at it. And one of the things that's making me better at it is because I'm looking at how I do promos and translating that into the ring. And so as you see what you're growing from here, bring that in. And the guys who maybe aren't in this competition, who are work rate guys, working on the character, do it in the ring, and then bring it into the promo. You understand what I'm saying? Bring that into the promo. I can think of one person who was a talent last season who made it to the finals, who I had no idea was going to make it to the finals or into the playoffs, was TJ Meyer, because he had that charisma in the ring. You knew who he was in the ring, but it just didn't translate to promos. But by the end, it did, and you could feel it. And I watched his Metro Pro promo. And I was like, there he is. There it is. That's a fully evolved TJ Meyer, man. And he's a main eventer here, and he holds belts. And I wonder why. You know what I mean? So again, it goes both ways. Whatever your weakness is, be you. Once you know you're take it to both lengths, right? And thank you to everyone who did this. I feel like this last round was the strongest aggregate round that I've seen so far. And, I would say that, like, improvement from beginning to end, this was the best season.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I've said that. I said that a couple rounds ago. In best season, but I also say it's one of the better groups, because I believe that this group, out of all the groups, has taken the best of their critiques and made themselves better overall exponentially, because every one of them have gotten better in some form. Maybe some of them haven't moved quite ahead as the others, but there's gains there, and that's the thing. There's gains. If you've moved ahead somehow, right? That's a good thing. And I am very proud of this thing, and I don't want to sound a certain way or ungrateful or anything like that, but I am very proud of Indie Idol. I'm not the only one that started this, and I'm not the only person a part of this, but I'm proud of it because what it's doing. It's because it's not. Yes, it is a content creator, but that was never its intention in the beginning. And this is all about making professional wrestling in the state of Michigan better, and in the promo game and everything. And it goes back to what you were saying is you taking that promo and making it relative what you're doing in the ring. And as a fan and somebody that runs a podcast all about Michigan, the easiest way for me as a fan to connect with you as a wrestler is through your promos, because that's I have access to that at any time. You don't have to cut promos for events. You can cut promos for character development. Dread King Logan,
all the time.
Dude, he developed a character and then redid a character and then developed a character and then redeveloped a character, all through promos. Dude, there was, I can go on about it forever because, he's a good friend of mine. But there's a lot of things that can be done with these promos, and I'm like I said, I'm very proud of everything that you guys have done, and I hope that you guys come back. Those of you that come back next year and get better. So we're going to the Final Four. Before I tell you who the Final Four are and the matches, I want to say that next week we will have a special guest judge. And this special guest judge has all kinds of things to say about promos. And it's a veteran, 17, maybe over 17 years, I think 16, 17 years in the business.
They cut promos?
Huh? Do they cut promos? Yeah, they cut promos. They cut promos. They just cut a promo not too long ago, matter of fact. But you'll find out soon enough. I'll tell you guys after we get done. But
is it Kurt Angle?
No, it's not Kurt Angle.
Is it because he cut a car promo?
I would never. And I actually...
I'll say it right the fuck now. Kurt Angle, if you're listening... I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit what anybody says. When people say they don't like car promos, they don't like car promos. And if you get a broken freaking neck and you send in a car promo, guess what? It's still just a fucking car promo, bitch.
Oh, okay.
Facts. All right. Okay. So moving on. Final Four. Here it is. Ladies and gentlemen, don't cut a car promo.
Start at the top, please.
Listen,
I want to say this to these Final Four. This is the Final Four. This is the semifinal. You better bring your A game. I'm not trying to be a dick. I'm just being honest. I'm going to pick your shit apart because I have to. There is a belt involved now. This is huge. All right? So obviously the undefeated so far, Josh Morris, who is 5-0, by the way, at this point in the tournament. It's a rematch. Josh Morris versus Coco T. Ware in the Final Four. All right. And then Jamie Eternal in the Final Four. And here is that spot that I was talking about. There was a lot of people that could
wild cards.
This was the wild card. This all comes down to the wins, right? This one here, who you beat. The computer figured this out, not me. Thank you, computer.
K-Swiss.
But Jamie Eternal versus Road Rash in the Final Four.
Wow. All right.
Road Rash made it.
Yep.
Okay, well, there's one more spot left. Who is it?
That's it. That's the Final Four.
Oh, you said there's a fourth person you haven't said. Josh Morris versus who?
Coco T. Ware.
Oh, did you say that already?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, my bad.
I was like, where were you?
I had earwax. My bad.
So the computer figured it out, not me.
That's how Swiss
What do we got
works.
for? We doing stipulation?
I have not come up with. You're the stipulation person. You were like chomping at the bit with all these scenarios and stipulations. You were like, oh, I got all this stuff.
Wait, hold on. I want to put out there Judy Bagwell on a forklift match. Please, one time.
I was just gonna say I don't hate it. I mean, it's they're not in the final. We'll do something different for the final, but
You have to do that one. That was a joke. Don't actually do that one.
I mean, it's not the worst
How
thing.
about we do Hell in a Cell?
Didn't we do that?
That was the final. Last year's final was when I beat Jamie Turtle in Hell in a Cell.
That's what I thought.
Hell in a Cell.
What if we did? We just did an old school one with Loser Leaves Town.
Yep.
New school.
What if we did another old school one? Oh,
Bull rope?
hair versus hair.
Ooh.
That's not fair because I don't know if everyone has hair.
That's fair.
Well, who?
Bull rope's interesting.
Bull rope's interesting. I mean,
Who doesn't have hair?
you.
Well, yeah, but
Well, you're going to be
I
biased.
guess what's that
You
stuff
hate
right there
hair.
on the sides? So you got something on there?
okay.
Right here.
Well,
Right here on the back.
so Dan Edward would like me to tell everybody that he says hi.
Hi.
What up, Dan?
Thanks for being Dan. We love you.
I saw this. I saw all four competitors because that's all. Just people talking in there. A battle royal ladder match. Someone suggested.
Well, we can't really do that because there's only it's one-on-one.
Right? Yeah.
I quit match.
I quit.
I quit match.
There we go. We'll do an I quit match, and so it'll be a stipulation. And do you think we should give them a little more time on this time because it is a semifinal? You want to give them a full 2 minutes?
Give them 2 minutes, baby.
Yeah. All right. So we're gonna go full 2 minutes. Now there are people that will say they hate anything over 1:30.
I called
To
one that
make
was
it interesting.
20 seconds just a little bit ago. Sorry.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do? Fight me.
All
I'd
right.
just like to point out. I'd like to point out that The Rock and Mankind did that. This Is Your Life segment for like, was it 17 minutes?
Oh yes.
If it's good, it's good.
Yeah. If it's good, it's good. That's true. All right. So here we go. One more time. Josh Morris versus Coco T-Ware. Jamie Eternal versus Road Rash in the final four of the 2023 Indie Idol promo competition. We are only 2 weeks away, roughly 2 weeks away from crowning the next Indie Idol. Hey, thank you everybody for joining us tonight. Your promos will be due Friday by midnight as per the usual. So thank you for everybody joining us tonight. Thank you to all the competitors. Congratulations to Josh Morris, Coco T-Ware, Jamie Eternal, and Road Rash. I call a mic off between Davison and AVZ. Dan Edwards is adding all kinds of stipulations here.
I think we're gonna do that in the final, right?
Yeah, we said we were gonna figure something out there.
A little battle.
You know what? If we do this, and I'm putting the gauntlet down right now, I don't want any forward warning. I don't want any stipulations. I don't want time limits. If we're going to do that shit, I want to do it right spot, live, no warning.
Ooh.
Somebody tells you right then and there,
Let's go.
right here, right now.
Well, we're not doing it now. All right.
I'm saying-
You want to do it live. Davis
I'm
is
saying
live.
zero plan, zero anything,
All
nothing.
right. Well,
Let's do it live on the show.
I got a couple special guests coming on for the final, so that should be interesting. Some real OGs. All right, guys. So we will see you guys back here on the channel tomorrow for Michigan Independent Weekly, where we're going to give you all the information coming up for all these wonderful events coming up this weekend. This weekend is jam-packed with indie wrestling in the state of Michigan. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, Davison. Thank you, AVZ. We'll see you guys back, you two specifically, back here a week from today for the semifinal judging, where we're going to find out who goes to the final. All right,
It's
everybody.
time to duel.
What's that?
I said it was time to duel. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, time. Yeah, all right. We will see you guys later. We're out of here. Peace out.
Get out of the car, Kurt Angle. Get out of the car.
It's going down. This is Rasslin Rage. Do it now. This is Rasslin Rage. Scream it out loud. This is Rasslin Rage. Cody Fleming is the man who leads the brigade. It's going down. This is Rasslin Rage. Do it now.